Hi, welcome to Flash Fantasy. Today I'm here with Norris, Josh, Dennis, and you got me, Jason, as your host. So today we're going to be finishing up our top 10 running
Right.
backs.
And let's go to number 6. I have Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb can continue his dominancy with the Browns. I think with Kevin Stefanski, like I said earlier, he made Dalvin Cook the beast that he is, giving him the run, giving him those snap shares. With Nick Chubb, I'm not too worried about Kareem Hunt. The man almost had 300 carries last year with Kareem Hunt. He still produced as a top 10 running back with Kareem Hunt. Now, again, Kareem Hunt didn't play until halfway through the year. So now we're going to get a whole year with Kareem Hunt. It's obviously going to take something away. That's why I wanted to put Nick Chubb up a little bit higher. But I just had the confidence in Nick Chubb and Kevin Stefanski leading that team, where Baker, we haven't seen him be a reliable quarterback, and they know they can rely on Nick Chubb.
Yeah, funny enough, I have Nick Chubb at my number 6 as well. Because of the offensive situation that he's in, I like it. I think that with him being able to run, he's 6 yards shy of 1,500 yards on 298 carries. That is impressive. And when you watch him play, he's like a light version of Jerome Bettis, but with speed. He is taking the contact. He knows he has great vision. He's running through the holes that he needs to. It's tough to bring him down. And, 49 targets last year on 36 catches, 278 yards. It's a solid – because, most of the time when we see Nick Chubb going out for passes, it's just those short third downs and whatnot, sometimes. But, my only concern – because with him being at number 6, my only concern was – the quarterback position. Baker Mayfield is someone we know he likes to escape sometimes, or try to at least. And he sometimes makes situations worse for Nick Chubb by putting him in 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 16 situations. And then you have to throw the ball, but that's kind of one of those situations where it's like still he gets the job done. We know that volume is king. We know that he is going to be the guy. Yes, Kareem Hunt is out there. He didn't play after the year. But I don't expect Kareem Hunt of 2016 and 17. That's not something that I'm going to just keep him on a pedestal that really just shouldn't exist anymore. His name holds a little bit of weight, but not really, not for you to be concerned with Nick Chubb. I think he's definitely going to, he's finishing in the top 10 by the end of 2020, when it comes to rushing numbers, fantasy wise. So, granted he stays healthy and whatnot, but yeah, that is who is at my number 6, Nick Chubb.
All right.
So I'm going to bring this guy into this list. He hasn't been talked about yet, but I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. This man is a monster. And I get that. Okay, the man has caught maybe 12 balls last year, targeted 24 times, drops a lot of passes that comes his way, but over 300 carries, over 1,500 yards. And honestly, he started off, like some people would say, he had a slow start, and still to that point was able to just go crazy at a production standpoint. And so I see him being a lock. I think he's going to be one of those top 3 people in regards to rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, one of the hardest people to bring down in the league. And once he heats up, like he just needs one game. And then after that, it's over. And yeah, I really like Derrick Henry. And I think that he definitely has spent a lot of time in this offseason growing in being able to catch the ball. And he doesn't need a bunch. Like he makes up for all of that in terms of his rushing. But if he can catch north of 20 footballs and do what he does after he gets the ball in his hand, I think he's going to be solid. So have him at number 6.
Yeah, I can't put him there, guys. I can't put him there just yet because he's a one type of guy. He's just give me the ball, get the heck out of the way, guy.
I agree.
So I can't put him there, guys. I mean, again, we're talking PPR, and again, not saying that you guys those are bad picks. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I gotta focus on PPR. I gotta see who can catch the ball and who can run the ball. Who's gonna get the touches? 250 times rushing the ball. I'll take it. 1,000 yards. I'm going to take it. 1,100 to be exact. You're catching 53 balls after 63 are thrown to you. It's not bad. The guy's he's doing both. Now, the only thing, again, we got the knee. We don't know what's going on with the knee. It just seems like every single year, college, in the pros, he's having problems. What does that mean? I mean, does that mean that we see Alexander Madison? Is it Alexander? We see him a little bit more? Do we see that? 7 drops, 11%, 11%, drop balls. We're talking about the other guys, they weren't that high,
Right.
So it's a little worrisome, Again, do I think that he's got better qualities than Joe Mixon? Absolutely. I think it's there. For him. I just think Joe is just another guy. And this guy, we're talking about Dalvin Cook, just injury. It's like, can the knee hold up for the rest of the year? Is the back? Is the chest? What are they going to want to do? He's coming up to a contract year. Are they going to use their secondary running back? He's not a bad running back, and I'm not going to tell you that they're just going to throw him in just to save him. And I know we hate to believe that, we know Jerry Jones isn't the manager, the GM there. He's not the guy there, but these are things to take into consideration. If I'm an owner and I got somebody in that kind of caliber and I got a good secondary running back, why not? Why not take the tension off of them? Now we're bringing down the snaps. And again, less snaps means less points, guys. So you got to feed, keep feeding him. And if he gets healthy all of a sudden, we're looking top 3 running back easily.
Right.
Right now, as it stands, 6 for me.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's solid overall. I think that's like you said, the injury is there, and it's happened year after year after year. So we have to be cautious about it. But yeah, that's solid. So for our number 6, our number 6, we have Nick Chubb. And then we have Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. So I think those are all. Again, after you hit the top 3, I think there's a small drop-off between these guys. And then now we hit, I think, another small drop-off between 6 and 10. And this is where I'm about to upset some people. I'm going to let you know. At my number 7, I have Austin Ekeler. I have Austin Ekeler at my number 7. I got him right over Joe Mixon, over Derrick Henry, over Josh Jacobs, and over Aaron Jones, simply because of his productions of yard after catch. When he gets the ball, bro, especially yards after contact too. When he gets, he is one of the most elusive and hard to tackle running backs that have a starting job right now, and that's where he hits the caliber from where he was last year, bro. Most of the year, he wasn't starting when Melvin Gordon came back. Yet, he still finished 4th in running back. He was killing it. Now, again, they don't have Phillip Rivers. They have Tyrod Taylor starting off the year as the number 1 quarterback. So, it is a different system for sure. But Anthony Lynn has faith in Austin Ekeler, and so will I. But I believe that Austin Ekeler can continue to produce what he's doing. Yeah, he's not a monster when it comes to rushing, but he had 108 targets, 92 receptions with 993 receiving yards. The man's practically a wide receiver. I mean, he had 8 receiving touchdowns. That's incredible for a running back. And now he had 132 attempts last year with Melvin Gordon in the backfield. So now he has even more chances of attempts, and he has a 4.22 yards per carry when he rushes. That's what you need out of a running back. You need him to get you up about 4 or 5 yards, get you in range to throw the ball once, and then get you the other way to the first down. And that's what he produces, and they have the trust. I mean, they paid him $24.5 million on a 4-year contract. The Chargers are known for their faith in small receiving running backs. We can look at Danny Woodhead, Darren Sproles. I mean, Austin Ekeler is just fitting the role that the Chargers love, and I think he's going to fit it well. And I think Anthony Lynn is going to funnel a lot of their offense to Austin Ekeler.
No, I just said LT.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget about the man. Don't forget about the man.
Yeah, so, you know,
I think this is hometown bias, by the way, too.
number 7, you know, Austin Ekeler, he's a great person to be in that spot. Again, 108 targets last year. I refuse to. I can't have a running back with games with 3 attempts for 3 yards and 10 catches for 100 yards. I can't do that. You know, I know it's PPR and whatnot, but I need balance. Which is why, this next guy, even though it is a similar type of player, but I can expect more from the rush game than him, Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is my number 7. He, originally when I was going through my list, he was slightly higher, but I'm definitely putting him. I'm a Titans fan, guys. I've said this before, and I would love to put Derrick Henry higher, but we're talking PPR here. We're talking about balance. We're talking about someone that I can, trust in multiple situations. Alvin Kamara is one of those guys that I can look at. And what else helps his case is Drew Brees. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks, and to watch, and just I remember that Super Bowl after Katrina and whatnot, like stuff like that. It sticks with you. So, he's one of the reasons why I put Alvin Kamara in my 7th. But let's look at the numbers here. You mentioned it before. He had 81 catches on 97 targets, 533 yards and a touchdown, 5 total rushing touchdowns on 171 carries. We know he's the guy out there. We know that even if you bring in, like we've seen in the past, guys like Mark Ingram, that's a top-notch running back coming out of college when he was coming out of college. And we see that Alvin Kamara still did his thing. We know that I know Alvin, came after Mark Ingram, but I'm just saying the situation for it to be a committee, we know that he is the guy, regardless of who else is in the backfield with him. And rapport speaks a lot. We know that Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara, that's the 1-2 punch in the same way that Drew Brees and Michael Thomas is the 1-2 punch. So number 7, my heart wanted to put Derrick Henry above, but realistically, I can't. And honestly, in PPR league, I can't even put Derrick above almost. I don't know. Austin Ekeler, I really want to put him above because of the 92 catches, but that's just 1 year. I'm not.
Bolt up, baby. Bolt up.
I'm not going to blow it out of proportion because the year before, in 2018, he had 39 catches. So I'm not going to sit here and just blow it out of proportion. But yeah.
Right. I think it's interesting that you guys are saying what you're saying about Derrick Henry, because the man was number 5 last year. PPR. He's obviously
Aaron Jones finished number 2. Aaron Jones finished number 2.
Yeah, but Aaron Jones is still on your top 10. He's still the respect is there. He's just a little further down my list. He's not Derrick Henry. But number 7 for me, I got Joe Mixon. I think just like Dennis was mentioning, at number 5, he has plenty of talent, but he's been the only one with talent on the team. He's been all alone. Okay, the ball's going to Mixon. It's going to be a screen. Let's tackle him. The ball's going to get run up the middle. Let's load the box. All these different issues. And all last year, that's all he was running into. Loaded boxes and people knowing the ball is going to get thrown his way, and still was able to be number 13 overall. Still was able to get north of 1,000 yards. And now you come into this year, you get Burrow, someone who can finally handle throwing the ball. You get back A.J. Green. You draft Higgins. You have plenty of these different options that are on the outside. And so that's going to spread out defenses. They have to, okay, this kid just won a national title and he's a Heisman winner. And we see what he did. And we got to respect that. He's going to have to show himself, but okay, let's guard what he has options for. And so I think after a whole year of running into loaded boxes, I can see him being at least top 7. I think he's going to have a career year. And I think similar to what Dennis was saying, thinking about Clyde and the production that he had, the dump offs, the plays that were specific for him, that's something from college that's going to help Joe adjust to the pro style. And so being able to have, okay, look, Joe, I'm going to do this the same way I did in college, and I'm going to adjust to all this new stuff, but I need you. I think that's going to be the most crucial piece to helping him feel comfortable back there in the pocket, knowing that he's got Joe blocking for him, he's got Joe ready for a dump off, and ready to just hand the ball off and do your thing. So I got Joe Mixon at number 7. And they're both named Joe, bro. They're about to do great things. JoJo, let's ride.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow. That's all I got to say. Might be my number 1 pick this year. I don't know. Who knows? We'll get there when we get there. Number 7. Austin Ekeler. I can't deny it, guys. I can't deny it. Listen, I know, we'll talk about Norris, the little comedy he made. I know it's only, I know it's 92 catches. 92 catches is 92 catches, my friend.
3 carries for 3 yards.
Hey.
And he had like 2 or 3 catches.
132 attempts rushing. 132 attempts of rushing when he's split in the backfield. Every year it keeps going up. Every year it keeps going up. And every year, guess what? It's only going to go up again. He's going to get – I can't see a season without Austin Ekeler running for about 200 times. 200 attempts. I see it this year. It's going to happen. And listen, you give me 92 catches on top of the 200 rushing attempts, that's all only means more fantasy points for me, guys. That's all it takes. The guy, Melvin Gordon, still doing his thing every single game. Melvin Gordon. I had Melvin Gordon last year on my team. I go, you know what? Eckler's not going to do anything. Melvin's going to come back. Melvin's going to take over. And it just never happened. It took until what? Week 11, week 12. I mean, even when Melvin came back, it still took some time to get him in. You know why? It's because it's about production, and it's about repetition, and it's about catching 92 balls and going to work every single day, knowing that you got the team support. And guess what? After that, I can only see this going up. I mean, they got Jackson in the backfield. He's not a bad player. He's a good running back. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he came in there, did some work. But Austin Ekeler, guys, I mean, the guy's stocky. He's bulky. I don't see the guy getting hurt too often. I mean, the guy just plays. He flat out plays. I mean, you got a guy, you go in there, 64 snaps, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he was only in there 64 snaps. But, again, Melvin was there. Actually, I'm sorry about that, 57. 57 snaps last year.
Put some respect on him.
57 snaps, guys. And the guy, what was it, number 4? I don't understand what ended up. Number 4 was 57 snaps. I mean, what do we get if it's 68 or 70 snaps? What do we get, 2 or 3? I don't. You got to think about it.
Theoretically, it sounds great. 993 yards and 8 touchdowns is convincing.
Theoretically, it's my middle name.
But, yeah, theoretically, it sounds great. I'm not comfortable.
I understand. Like, I kind of went back and forth between 7, 8, and 9 between the guys I'll list out next. But it was very close. And what gave me the edge is the fact that Austin Ekeler, like, the money is there. He got paid, and he continues to do. Plus, like we talked about on our top 10, you follow him on Instagram, and there you go. Like, you just know what they're up to, and the man is killing it. But yeah. So for our listeners and watchers, number 7, I have Austin Ekeler. Norris has Alvin Kamara, and Josh has Joe Mixon, and Dennis agrees with me for once with Austin Ekeler. But yeah.
And now we'll go to our number 8, where I have Joe Mixon. That's where Joe Mixon fell to me. Last year, he just had a low touchdown rate, and he still had 1,100 yards rushing. And I think he has serious upside this year. Like we talked about, Joe Burrow coming in. They drafted T. Higgins. They're comfortable with their already offensive line. AJ Green got franchise tag. They have a great receiving core all around. I just need to see more from Joe Mixon. And I think we could see more this year. And that's why he fell to number 8 for me. It was between him and Ekeler at 7 and 8, where I was going to put Ekeler at 8, but I just saw, like, it's just a guarantee, like, with Ekeler and getting receiving. And that's where Joe Mixon does fall off, like we talked about earlier, getting those receiving yards.
Okay. Number eight. This is where I put my guy Derrick Henry. I getting a little bit of, feedback on where Derrick Henry should be placed and all of this stuff. Like, okay, let's address the beast. 16 rushing touchdowns, 1,540 yards on 303 carries, two receiving touchdowns with 200 or a little over 200 yards in receiving on 18 catches. My thing is, again, guys, in a PPR league, my philosophy is I need my running back to do both, even if you are like he's a one-dimensional running back most of the times, But yes, my friend Josh, he's signaling 5. He did finish 5th in the PPR league, but that is a testimony to the scoring that he has. That is a testimony to the scoring. You are going to end up in the top 5 of anything in any category if you have 16 touchdowns, 18 altogether in 1 year. So, I just think that with Derrick Henry in a PPR league, if you're looking at drafting him, yes, by all means, like I wouldn't come at your neck if you went for him in the first round. But the thing is you can do better in a PPR league than Derrick Henry. If you're looking at a dynasty league, sure, take him because he is going to be a long-term back. He did obviously won Heisman in Bama, so we know he can get the job done, and he's a long-term player. He's built to last. He is a big guy. The man is benching the world right now. And he's squatting, he's squatting, everything. So, he is a safe running back in the long run, but in a PPR league, he's at my number 8.
That guy probably needs to slow down with the weights. Can't lift his arm to catch the ball. It's probably the problem.
And he got a sweet little daughter. Those kids, man, they do something to when you become a dad, it does something to you, and you're just gonna keep on running hard, running through everybody.
Yes.
The man runs like he's got his like baby in his arms. He's trying to run away from something.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy. But at my number 8, I got Nick Chubb. I think I have him this low only because of Kareem Hunt. And I know that we're speaking about, like, we know that Chubb is solid. He did well with Kareem there. But I think, the stats are still there. I mean, like what Norris was saying, he finished with almost 300 attempts. He was only 6 yards shy of having 1,500 yards. I think all of that stuff is great. And he definitely has a nose for the end zone. But I just think he has a really solid backup. And they use that backup pretty often. So it was really tough for me. I was thinking about probably putting like Clyde Edwards instead of him. I was like, nah. I thought about Miles Sanders. I was like, no. But it's really only because of that backup. Like, I just think there's an issue there. It's taking away receptions because that's what Hunt is stronger than him in. And a whole year of having Kareem Hunt there is going to change a little bit of what it looks like. But their coach has proven himself with Dalvin Cook. So hopefully that stays the same. I hope that everything in terms of stats stay the same except for the injury. Because if that coach got Dalvin hurt, I just hope the same thing doesn't happen with Nick Chubb. But I see Nick Chubb finishing solid. I have him at my number 8. And,
messed up, man. It's messed up. Got him hurt. It's messed up.
Yeah, you make it seem like Kevin Stefanski went out there with like a billy club and just beat him in the knee. Like, if that coach got him hurt.
He said, go get hurt because Jason made it into the fantasy football playoffs.
I know it.
That's what happened.
They have it on their radar, bro. Every year.
Hey. Don't have a Nick Chubb now. No, I'm joking. Hopefully not.
Yeah, we're gonna put Derek. This is where he belongs. All right, this is where Derek belongs. He's the top 10, obviously. When you run the ball for 300, for 300 times and run for 1,500 yards, and yards after contact 968. I mean, geez, please. You know, but again,
He's a top 5 dude. I don't care if you don't catch
top
anything.
5. Listen, you can say whatever you want to say, but when you give me 18 receptions but 24 targets, I mean, listen, granted, 206 yards. Oh, I mean, we know he broke one good play. I mean, he probably broke like a 60-yard or something, you know, and put him up there. But 24 targets, 18 receptions. Come on, man. And you drop
top 5. You only go up from there.
And you drop 3 of them?
You drop 3 and you run in for 3 touchdowns with your feet, not having to catch nothing?
That's pretty standard. That's pretty in standard league, right? You want to play standard league, you know, you want a little bottle. You want the little bottle being fed to you. You want to play standard league. That's fine. It's fine. Be my guest. You know, if you like it easy. You know, but in this league, there's a PPR. Right. You got to be able to catch the ball. It's plain and simple. Plain and simple. You want top 5, catch the ball. You know,
he was just top 5 without catching the ball, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's called a little bit of Irish luck. That's what they call that. A little Irish luck. That's not going to happen anymore. All right. Understand.
Tighten up.
This is the thing. We are hoping that in 300 attempts, this is what we're hoping. In 300 attempts, that this guy doesn't break his ankle or break his knee. You know, I mean, let me give you this stat here. I mean, if this isn't worrisome, I mean, okay, so let's here we go. We got 16 games, right? We got 16 games. Snap counts. We got 25, 40, 41, 59. Now, the way I did that was 2016 all the way to 2019. I mean, they keep bringing the snap count out, and every time the snap count up, and every time it goes up. Listen, don't get me wrong. Look at the rushing yards after this. So we got 2016, 490 yards. 2017, 744 yards. 2018, 1,000 yards, 1,059 yards. Last year, 1,540. I mean, every year keeps going up. Now, let me tell you something about running backs that run the ball that much, increasing and increasing and increasing. They run out of steam, guys. You know, they're like a punching bag. It's like a boxer going in for 12 rounds consistently. It's going to happen. He's going to get down. He's not going to be as fast as he used to be because right now, for some reason, it seems like this guy's running a 4.3 or something like that. I mean, I know this was last year when he gave that stiff arm to Jacksonville. I mean, the guy's just running like a man possessed. Don't get me wrong. It's that man possessed. That's going to go over time. He's going to get a little bit older. And I don't know about you guys, but listen, I'm 29 now, and I'm losing my speed. Before I was used to be, you know, a little fast. I'm not even fast. I'm not even fast.
Yeah, you're comparing yourself to Derrick Henry?
Keep lifting the world. That's fine. That's fine. But I don't understand this. Derrick, know the heavier you are, the slower you get. I mean, I don't understand. But the guy's got muscles coming out of his neck. Give me a break.
We all do.
Dennis, Mr. Do-Right, I need you to see that Derrick Henry didn't have a transformation or transfiguration of his body coming out of college. He was doing what he was doing all his career. Yeah. And he's running a 4.4, but the thing is that even in your situation, in your world, we're still looking at another 4 years at least of Derrick Henry doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I agree. They do burn out. But we're still looking at another 3 or 4 solid years of this type of performing. Because you can make the case for Mark Ingram, you know, like he's a stocky guy running through the holes and all that stuff. Not the fastest guy, but again, it's Bama. They breed these guys for this.
I didn't bring up too. I mean, first of all, they weren't giving Derrick Henry the ball that often. I'm pretty sure they're gonna start figuring out something, a good defensive package for Derrick Henry. I mean, we got to take that into consideration. You know, you don't just run the ball that often like that. I mean, this is the thing: is that Derrick Henry never plays. They go, "Oh, where's Derrick?" You know, he never gets the playing time anyways. Just let him run through. You know what I mean? Like that happened. That happened. They were shocked.
They tried to do that 2 running back thing with Deion Lewis, and it didn't work. Because they know that Derrick Henry needs to be the beast.
You gotta feed him. You gotta feed him.
I think one thing I would say is I think the percentage of someone trying to tackle Derrick Henry, like they're probably at higher odds of getting hurt than Derrick Henry is of getting hurt by getting tackled by them. So that's my opinion. Because many have tried. The Ravens have tried. And he's throwing touchdowns.
Ran through the Ravens.
Stop playing, bro. He throws for touchdowns. We didn't talk about that. He runs for touchdowns, and he's going to be better at catching. He's probably going to throw for 2 touchdowns this year. He's top 5, bro. Top 5. Threw one, and it was the ugliest thrown touchdown ever, but it was 4 points.
But I
4 points.
think something needs to be like with Derrick Henry and his longevity for the first like couple years of his career, he had DeMarco Murray in front of him.
Him as well.
And so he didn't come off and he like didn't start right away. And so he's had a slow build to where he's at now. And so I think that helps him like last a little bit longer in his career. But like Norris said, there was Dion Lewis. They don't always throw the ball to Derrick Henry, and that's the biggest turnoff for me. But let's recap for our number 8. So I had Joe Mixon, Norris had Derrick Henry, Josh had Nick Chubb, and Dennis had Derrick Henry as well. So let's get into number 9, where I have Derrick Henry. So I don't think I need to talk much about it. But I'll list off some stats for our those stat hungry guys. He had 303 rushing attempts. He finished as the NFL's overall rushing leader. He had 16 touchdowns, and he's the overall workhorse for the Tennessee Titans, who want to blow through defenses and win games when it comes to like the last quarter. They love throwing the ball around. A.J. Brown's a great wide receiver. They have Ryan Tannehill. They paid Ryan Tannehill a lot of money. And they gave Derrick Henry the franchise tag because they know they need him and they know that they're going to use him. And there's a chance. Now, I'm just saying a chance here, but there's a chance Derrick Henry doesn't return to the Tennessee Titans next year. There's a chance. So that's something in redraft leagues and dynasty to maybe keep your eye out for. But I think this year I see Derrick Henry finishing at the bottom tier of the top 10, simply because, like I said, receptions in a PPR league are very important. And I think Derrick Henry always has a slow start. And then it's kind of hit a little bit. I think defenses can start to adjust a little bit to Derrick Henry as he continues to go along this way. But overall, still dominant, still going to do his thing. I think 8, 9, 10, where we have Derrick Henry, besides Josh, who has him at number 6, sorry. Yeah, I think the bottom tier is where it's going to be for – but he's still going to do great. Top 10 running back this year.
All right. Good stuff. So the 9 and 10 spot is very interesting because, like, I wanted to put, guys like Josh Jacobs in my top 10. In a perfect world, I would have loved to do that, but I just couldn't get to it. I just couldn't put him in that threshold. But at number 9 right now, I have Austin the Ekeler. So, with Austin Ekeler, even though, I made the statements that I did before with him having, just terrible stats when it comes to rushing and per game. When I look at that and when you watch the games, it's like, oh my goodness, like I'm worried because people who draft Austin Ekeler, more than likely they have another number 1 running back or a solid number 2 that's consistent. So he's not going to be your Ezekiel Elliott of your team. So with Austin Ekeler being that compatible type of piece that you would love to have in your flex, I'm just going to run this stat again, just because of the PPR sake. 92 receptions, 108 targets, 993 yards on receiving, and 8 touchdowns. That's 85% of the balls coming his way is reaching his hands and staying. So 132 carries. It's a par amount. Like, again, that's RB2. Like on a depth chart, that's the number 2 type of carries that you're gonna get. So just looking at the team, the offense loves him. He's, again, like Dennis mentioned, he's not this scrawny, Darren Sproles looking type of guy. Austin Ekeler has some build to him. And so I think that Austin Ekeler he definitely belongs in, when you talk about top 10 running backs of last year in the PPR league, I think when we talk about putting respect on people's name, he's one of those guys.
Put some respect on his name. I think that's a good place for him. I think, like I said earlier, it was a little bit difficult for me to determine where Austin Ekeler felt. Maybe there's a little bias. I'm just saying maybe, but
Definitely is.
maybe. But
Look at your hat.
I can show you more than my hat, my friend. But yeah, I think that's an overall solid fantasy analysis for Austin Ekeler this year and solid placement. What about you, number 9 there, Josh?
So at number 9, I have Aaron Jones. Talented back. A bunch was already said about him. Second best fantasy running back for last year. He had a great year. I personally don't think he's going to finish up there again, but I do think he has a great chance of being top 10. He's just got a nose for like the end zone. He had 19 touchdowns last year. I think he'll have opportunities possibly to get into that 20 range. I think he'll get used more. I think you don't see a breakout year and not take advantage of that moving on. And I just think, like what Norris was saying earlier, Aaron Rodgers does have a chip on his shoulder, but they're also understanding that he's probably going to leave. So the next best thing really is to give Aaron Jones the ball, give him a chance, and you can let a mad Aaron Rodgers try to prove a point. But I don't think Green Bay really cares. They care about Aaron Jones. They care about this kid, Love, that just got drafted by them in the first round. And I think they're going to keep going with what they're expecting to turn the franchise into. And that's leaning on their running back.
I'm gonna go with Nicky Chubb. Again, so low. I think this is low for Chubbs. Don't get me wrong. I don't know what they're doing. Listen, they got to get rid of Kareem Hunt, right? They got to get rid of him. So what are they gonna do, right? Why not use him? Take a little bit off Chubb. I mean, this is just the one thing. Use Hunt. He didn't do bad last year. The guy produced last year too. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but what I love is almost, if I'm not mistaken, almost 300 carries, 298 carries. You're looking at, if I'm not mistaken here, 49 targets, 36 catches, 278 yards. Not a lot of yards, but the thing is that was Hunt doing that work. Hunt was the one getting the yards for the catching after that. So that's the thing. I mean, again, great running back, solid. I think he ran for 1,400 yards. So, I mean, the guy can flat out run. It's just, how are they going to use him? I mean, again, we think about all these great running backs that could be, but then we see all these coaches get cute. They want to get cute. They want to use these guys. They want to use that guy. But you know what? If they can add value by getting Hunt the ball and maybe, trading him to get somebody else to help out, maybe offensive line, a defensive player, I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him for doing that. So, again, Chubbs, number 9, where he lands for me.
I think that's solid overall. I think that's a great place for for Nicky Chubb. So I think for Kareem Hunt coming in, we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Maybe he has more time with the Browns. Probably not, but we'll see. So for our number 9, I have Derrick Henry, Norris with Austin Ekeler, Josh with Aaron Jones, and Dennis with Nick Chubb. So let's get to our number 10. And this is a guy we haven't spoke about a whole lot yet. He's been mentioned here or there. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. I don't like endorsing Oakland running backs, or I just don't like it. It makes my Charger blood boil. But I think he has a great opportunity there. I think he had 242 attempts last year, had 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns only on 13 games.
That's it?
Now, yeah, that's it, 13 games. So I think with the addition to Henry Ruggs, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Derek Carr, and they can't just load the box anymore. They can't just be like, oh, Josh Jacobs, we're not going to let you do anything. And that didn't stop him a whole lot last year either. So Derek Carr is notorious for throwing short passes, getting the dump off passes to Darren Waller or Tyrell Williams last year. And with Josh Jacobs, he can get that receiving work as well. He just has to stay throughout the whole year. I mean, dude is tough. So I think he can fight through most injuries that happen. and continue to grow that was his rookie year, Josh Jacobs. So I think we'll continue to see progress. I think this year he takes that sophomore leap into top 10.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I guess, spot because again, like I mentioned his name earlier, and I would have loved to put him in my top 10. But impressive rookie year, had over 240 carries. They had 27 targets. We're talking PPR here. We've been talking about it the whole video. That's not something that because it's not like he's on a Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry level where it's like, okay, I'll tolerate the 20-something targets. But for you to not put Aaron Jones in your top 10, that's interesting. But that's side conversation. My number 10, Joe Mixon. He has to be in the top 10. Joe Mixon, we've been talking about Joe Squared, that situation. Joe Burrow is going to be phenomenal this year, I believe. I hope that there isn't a bunch of turnovers that take place because Cincinnati is not a franchise that we can just trust and just glorify them and elevate them to the next level because of Joe Burrow. Dennis may disagree, but but that franchise, it has disappointed year after year after year after year after year. But nonetheless, Joe Mixon last year, he showed up. Joe Mixon, even though he was 13th in the PPR last year in running backs, he still had 278 carries, 1,100 plus yards, 45 targets, 3 scoring touchdowns and receiving touchdowns, and 5 rushing touchdowns. The 5 rushing touchdowns, that's something that of course needs to go up. In the inside of the 20-yard line in the red zone, he had 40 attempts. He had 40 carries. So that's good. I think that with seeing that just shows me that, because that's when I get nervous with my running backs. When you get into the red zone and it's that 3rd and goal, you're like, I don't know what they're going to do. But with Joe Mixon, yeah, it's interesting because that's where people get robbed, So I think with that in itself also, he had 5 touchdowns as well within the 20-yard line. So that's a encouraging number. And I think with the situation, with him being the number 1 guy in the backfield and a key piece to that offense, obviously, like everyone here has mentioned, they lack consistent talent and skill to take the Bengals, into a solid position in the division, because that's a tough division. It's a young division, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do this year with Joe Burrow. But I think Joe Mixon elevates his game this 2020 season and does even more than what he did in 2019.
Sounds good. So personally, I have Josh Jacobs at number 10 too, just like Jason. And so he averaged 4.7 yards per carry. He only had 242 attempts though, but that was 4th among all running backs in his rookie year. So he missed 3 games due to an injury, but still was able to be top 4 in regards to how many yards per carry in terms of attempts and all those things. And I think he had a very impressive rookie year. It wasn't a Saquon kind of a year, but I do think that he had 5 games over 100 yards. And again, that's what you want. If you're going to have a rushing guy that gets a few balls thrown to him, you want him to reach that 100-yard range. That's 10 points. He's solid. You want at least that. So I think he's definitely going to grow. They have more weapons out there in Oakland, and he is a focal point of the offense. And there's no competition for him. I know there was some kid out there that was maybe a 3rd down back, but after he proven himself, it's over. It's this is the guy. So I personally think Josh Jacobs. It wasn't an easy thing to put him there. There are other people could have been there. Austin Ekeler was not one that I would have put there, but top 10, Josh Jacobs.
Keep it going, Josh Jacobs. Number 10. Guys, he was hurt a lot. Guys, I'm going to let you know something. He was dealing with, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a shoulder injury for couple weeks before they took him out and said, you know what, let's just call it quits. So we talk about, I think we're looking at the receiving. I think it could be a little miscued there because, again, if I'm the guy, it was the coach again, the funny guy,
John Gruden.
John Gruden. I tell you what, man. I tell you what. I'm gonna put my best asset out there and let him get hurt. I tell you what, I'm gonna take it easy on him, huh? And that's what happened. Jalen Richards, that's exactly what they did. They did a blackout, they just did a blackout. They said, you know what, we're gonna shut him down. We're not gonna let this happen anymore. We're not going to let this guy keep getting hurt. We're not going to overuse him. So, therefore, put Jalen Richardson out there. He's been catching a couple balls. Do that. And that's what happened, guys. I think that's exactly what happened. The guy can run the ball. The guy can run the ball, and he can run the ball, and he can run the ball. It's just that simple. Now, can he catch the ball? They always talk about a Gruden. Oh, yeah, I want to give him a couple more passes out there, whatever it may be, I tell you what, Josh Jacobs, number 10.
Yeah. I think that's solid overall. Like you said, could be a blackout just like Josh's screen. I think overall we can see some really good offense from the Las Vegas Raiders. And so just a quick recap. For number 10, I had Josh Jacobs. Norris had Joe Mixon. I'm glad you hit your top 10, Norris. That would have been a shame if you didn't. Dennis and Josh also accompanying me with picking Josh Jacobs at number 10. So it seems that we kept a pretty close consensus on these running backs. Maybe Austin Ekeler is Josh's 11th pick. Maybe I know Aaron Jones is my 11th pick. Well, Josh is just a hater. I'm sorry.
He's number 12 for me.
Number 12. Jeez. Okay. We'll see that. We'll have to put something on that. So now to what everybody wants to see the most, our sleeper picks. Because sometimes you can't get a top 10 running back. Sometimes you're stuck in the first 2 rounds getting DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones because they're right there, because you got them. So I'm going to start us off. And my guy this year, I'm going to bat 100%.
100%.
100%. David Montgomery. 100.
We said sleeper, bro. If you 100%, he should have been in your top 10.
No. Everybody's sleeping on him. I'm 100% for him. That's okay. David Montgomery. I love him.
Right.
I think
I love him a lot.
I love him a lot. He comes from Memphis. He came from Memphis all the way over to Chicago, and now Matt Nagy's finally realizing through the end of last year we saw David Montgomery starting to produce and getting more and more touches over Tariq Cohen, and he can catch the ball. Like, he didn't get a whole lot of receiving work because they do have Tariq Cohen in that backfield. So that's the one thing that he didn't hit my top 10 for, is that he doesn't get a consistent receiving role. But he's the go-to guy for the third downs. He's the go-to guy for the touchdowns. So I think Dave Montgomery could see a great sophomore leap. And that was his rookie year. So now that he has a chemistry building with and let's not forget to mention the travesty of quarterback in Chicago with Mitchell Trubisky. And now we may see a slight increase in the Nick Foles. I'd rather have Nick Foles than Mitch Trubisky. No offense, Mitch. I think you're a quarterback and you're in the NFL level. You got that caliber. Maybe you just need to work on your accuracy, like a lot. Anyways, I think with Nick Foles,
you should go to the Chargers.
Listen, Mitch, don't go to the Chargers. If you ever see this video, don't go.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, David Montgomery is my sleeper pick. I'm going to bat for him for the rest of the year, and you can get him like in the 5th, 6th round in some leagues. So I think great value. I drafted him earlier in the mock draft, 4th round. I would take him there. So that's my sleeper pick. What about you, Norris?
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going deep here.
Okay.
And I'm kind of cheating. So forgive me. All right. My sleeper is the Miami Dolphins running backs.
Oh my gosh.
Jordan Howard,
All of them.
Sign off here.
Jordan Howard, and Matt Breida. I think that is, if you, again, like Jason mentioned from the beginning, if you're not getting a top 10 running back or even a top 15, go with Jordan Howard first. And if you're a Miami Dolphins fan and you happen to just like what Matt Breida did, when he broke out for 83 yards and ran for 22 miles an hour, if you like that stuff, draft him. If you like that stuff, draft him. But
fast, bro.
Just to look at the balance that it does bring, Jordan Howard, he's the one that's going to tote the ball. He's doing the running. Obviously, Matt Breida is more established in the receiving game. But honestly, rushing last year, he had 123 attempts in Matt Breida, and last year Jordan Howard had 119. It's something that you can get some good balance in. It's funny enough, and I'll kind of end it around here. Last year, Jordan Howard finished RB 39 in fantasy. Matt Breida, RB 40. So you might as well just merge them into one. So my sleepers is the Miami Dolphins running backs, Jordan Howard and Matt Breida.
Interesting. Hey, Norris just moved to Miami, so I think something's in the water. But I personally believe my sleeper, I think this is also deep, but just going back a couple years, when we think about Pittsburgh, how Big Ben did, and they had a running back named James Conner, someone coming in, filling the shoes of Le'Veon Bell. Nobody was really sure about him. And he had an amazing year. Had 973 rushing yards. He had 12 rushing touchdowns, 55 receptions. He bursted onto the scene in a way that nobody was expecting. And I think with Big Ben healthy, Pittsburgh can finally throw the ball. And if they can finally throw the ball, and if James Conner can stay healthy, then he's going to have a solid year. He's definitely going to be, I think, he had a top 10 year that year. I think he can be right back in there. I personally believe that he's going to do better than Austin Ekeler. We're going to make a little, we'll talk about that a little more. But I think it's a huge difference when they can actually throw the ball and Big Ben is back. I think they look good. I think they'll be solid, and James Conner as my sleeper.
Put your money where your mouth is, Skid here, huh? I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I don't think it's that deep, but don't forget it. Miles Sanders, I think he went under the radar, slipped up a little bit. People slept up on it, but, he tore it up towards the back half of the year. Started getting the touches. If I'm not mistaken, 179 carries, 818 yards. He didn't get his 200 carries. We're looking at a guy that could possibly now Jordan Hayward gone. But we're looking at 240. Don't forget, he also had where is it here? Here it is. We got nope, that's not it. It's not it. Receiving. 63 targets, 50 catches, 509 yards. The guy had, if I'm not mistaken here, close to about 1,500 yards total purpose. Give me 2,000 in your top 10 anywhere.
Yeah.
2,000 yards. The guy can play. The guy can flat out play. The only thing I'm a little worried about, he does have a tendency to put that ball on the ground. Yeah, I got two. I like one. Give me one for the season. I'm happy with you. Two. Now we have problems. We got problems. He did the same thing in Penn State. We had problems dropping the ball. I don't know how hard it is to just hold on to the ball. Maybe I got to try it. I don't know. Maybe I got to try it. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe you got to try being an NFL.
Hold on to the ball, Miles Sanders. Sleeper, maybe not. I don't know. He's going to do the job for you, though. I know he won some people plenty of fantasy. I think that game against Washington where he put up, if I'm not mistaken, was close to 30-something points. I know
dropped him before that game.
A chance. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. We'll if any professional linebackers want to hit Dennis while he's trying to hold on to a ball, that would be a great video. Let us contact us on our YouTube or Instagram.
The high school linebackers too.
Yeah, you could be from the CFL, the AFL, any league that's professional. You want to hit
Mighty Mikes, all y'all.
We just got to let them try it out, try out getting hit. and see how fun that is if he can hold on to that ball. If he,
I want to see somebody try to take a ball out of that grip.
I mean,
Somebody try to take a ball out of that grip.
that's why Derrick Henry only fumbles 5 times a year.
Hey, top 5, Derrick Henry.
Right. But anyways, some other sleeper picks for you guys. I actually have Matt Breida on my list too. I think he could do something. I was this close to keeping him, but I decided to take my talents somewhere else. So another name, Devin Singletary, playing for the Bills. They drafted Zach Moss, so we might see some goal line work for Zach Moss. But I think overall, Devin Singletary has that job set up. Keyshawn Vaughn for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only rookie running back that I would put on everybody's radar, that's probably everybody's sleeping on him, Keyshawn Vaughn. And then Latavius Murray. I think Latavius Murray is going to get some decent snap percentage. He got about 40%. Now, I'm not saying draft him as your RB1. No way, no how. But I'm saying if Alvin Kamara gets hurt, he's one of the best handcuffs to own in the league.
I want no part of that, my friend.
I mean,
No part of that.
For those of you that are, I guess, having a similar thought process that Jason just mentioned, you're better off just going James White. You know, don't be afraid to draft James White. He is a consistent.
The 4th-string running back from the Washington Redskins.
No, the 4th-string running back,
Rob Kelly.
You're better off with him.
No.
Rob Kelly.
In a PPR league, if you have a late round draft pick that you're like, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to pick somebody, James White is a good pick if you are looking for a handcuff, because Sony Michel, he's good, but we know that James White gets that work every year. So especially in PPR.
That is very true.
I mean, that's with Tom, sure, but that's even more reason for them to rely on a guy like James White, with him being gone.
Lean on me.
I like these picks. I like these suggestions, guys. And that's it for our top 10 running backs. Please go ahead and check us out on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell so you know when the next video is going to happen. Follow us on Instagram at @TheFlashFantasy. And soon enough, we'll be making a Twitter. Listen to our if you're watching on YouTube, listen to the podcast. And if you're listening to the podcast, check us out on YouTube. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell. You can follow us on Instagram at @TheFlashFantasy and listen to our podcast on any of your podcast apps.